Hi everyone, it's Ryan March with Disney Files Magazine, and for today's edition of Disney Drop-In, we are going back to Star Wars star Ashley Eckstein's house. Ashley has a friend in town I want you to meet. It is Disney legend Jodi Benson, who of course voiced Ariel in The Little Mermaid. I just love the dynamic between Jodi and Ashley because Jodi is actually the actress who inspired Ashley to pursue a career in voice acting. I bet you Ashley can tell us exactly where she was the first time she saw The Little Mermaid. Now, both Ashley and Jodi have new books out, so I thought we would drop in with our cameras and chat with them about their books and their friendship and their characters. I just can't wait for this conversation. I'll meet you at Ashley's. Thank you both so much for doing this. Ashley, thank you for once again letting us invade your home with our cameras. And Jodi, thank you for letting us interrupt your visit with your friend. Speaking of friends, I think I'd be a bad friend if we didn't start off with your books. Each of you have new books out.
That we didn't know it was happening at the same time, right?
I know.
So Jodi, let's start with yours, Part of My World. And I'd love to hear about your reaction to writing these books, because each of you had a certain level. I know each of you had a certain level of panic involved in writing the book, but it came at different times of the process.
Yes, I really did not. It was not part of my plan at all. It's never been on my bucket list. Actually, my husband had mentioned probably 10 years ago, I think you have some stories to share. And I was like, no, that won't be happening. And so the publishing company called like in February, I think, of 2020, right before the world shut down. And I said, thank you so much, but absolutely not. That's just not my thing. I just didn't feel comfortable. So after 3 or 4 more attempts of saying no, the publishing team kind of came up with this idea of like, what would it be like if you just shared some behind the scenes stories and made these stories reflect a light on other people, and a way to say thank you, like a love letter to Disney, a huge thank you to Howard Ashman. So I could sort of get on board with that idea of these little stories, but the autobiography, the memoir, just those words really made me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Very
They're
uncomfortable.
scary.
Very scary. But to shine a light on other people along the journey, to be able to say thank you, I felt much more comfortable with that. So that's where we started from after several no's.
Ashley, let's talk about yours, Star Wars Every Day, which is such a fun book. My 6-year-old
thank you.
is obsessed with this and obsessed with you, as you know. Now, you're the type that tends to say yes to projects quickly, and then your panic sets in after you realize what you've signed up for. So tell me about that journey.
Yes, I have a tendency to just say yes. And part of that, I think, I've growing up here in Orlando, Florida, growing up Disney, I believe that the impossible is possible. And so any new opportunity, even if I haven't done it before, if it sounds exciting, I'm like, yes. And then I hung up the phone and I panicked. Yeah. I'm like, I can't write a Star Wars book. Like, I had written kind of my own book before, and similar to you, I said, I don't want to write a memoir. But if it's a book where I share my story, but it's more of a guide on how to make your dreams come true. I share my story as an example to say, here's what I did, here's how I did it, but here's how you can do it too. And I felt comfortable with that, and that was in my own voice. Writing a Star Wars book is like a whole different, ball game. And so I hung up the phone and I panicked. And luckily, I had 6 months to do this book.
Oh my gosh.
So I pushed it off, and I pushed it off, and I pushed it off. The book was due January 3rd. I didn't start writing it until December 8th. So I had an entire book to write in less than a month. And I did that to myself. But part of it was I just didn't believe I could. And I really, I had to do my own Jedi mind trick on myself because I was bringing anger and aggression and doubt to this project, and it wasn't going well. And it wasn't until I did my own Jedi training exercise, which I call the Cave Challenge, where I started to bring positive emotions into my cave, AKA my mind. And I went into my writer's room and I brought in positivity, love, hope, and light. And I brought in all the positive emotions that it actually became easy. And I realized the only person holding me back was me.
I want to talk about your dynamic with each other, because I think it's so cool when you become friends with someone that you've admired from afar for a long time. It's something I've been so fortunate to do often in my career, and I never take it for granted. I said in the intro to this episode that I bet you could tell me where you were the first time you saw The Little Mermaid. I want to see if that's true. Do you remember where you were the first time you saw that film? And how did that film and Jodi's performance in it shape the arc of your life?
100% I remember where I was. And I finally got up the courage to tell Jodi this year how much I admire her. Because I actually wrote about you in my first book about, you know, making my dreams come true. And my dream of becoming a voice actress started with Jodi. Like literally, it started from the moment I saw The Little Mermaid. And I was 8 years old. It was actually my 8th birthday. And my dad was a Disney cast member, and Disney cast members often get experiences for them and their families to be like test audiences. So I got to be a test audience for The Little Mermaid. The film wasn't even done. There was still black and white storyboards in the film. That was the first moment that I realized that this thing that was on the screen or that was on my television was a group of people behind the scenes making it. That Ariel was another actress doing the voice. So that's when I found out who Jodi Benson was. And I already wanted to be an actress, but that's when I decided that one day I also wanted to be a voice actress. And it started because of Jodi. So I finally got up the courage to share that with her this year. And then I think it was D23 Expo where I realized, I'm like, she calls me a friend. Maybe I need to like stop like just gushing and like be a normal human being, because I kept just fangirling over her, being like, Jodi, I'm your biggest fan. Hi, nice to meet you. And I'm like, I need to just act normal. So I'm like trying to act cool and normal while I'm sitting next to Jodi Benson,
In
who
your
totally
house.
inspired my career. But I did wear my hype friend sweatshirt
so sweet.
because I'm the biggest hype friend, and that is my copy of your book, and I hope you'll sign it.
Oh,
for
it
me.
is. Okay.
Now, when I travel to events and I see how each of you interact with your fans, and I see the emotion with which fans meet you, it really shows this incredible impact. And I wonder what it's like for you, knowing the influence you had on Ashley. And when you then see that someone you inspired is inspiring so many people, and therefore it's kind of building on this legacy, what does that mean to you?
You know, after 36 years now that I've been with the company, it's unfathomable to me to understand the impact of the character of Ariel. And, you know, when I meet and greet with fans all over the world, their reaction is just blows my mind. I have a box of Kleenex ready. We get ready. You can see them coming through the line, especially those that are in their 30s and 40s, and the impact of that film in their childhood. And we can see when the criers are coming, they're getting closer. Get that box ready, because it's a trigger of a core memory for each person. And when you have that 2-minute window with each fan, I'd love to hear their story. I want to know what are you feeling right now? What is triggering you? And it's usually either a relationship. I saw the movie with my mom or my grandmother. My bedroom was decorated this specific way. And so I think it's just that trigger that I feel so honored and so blessed that you get to be a little part of that with them. And it's really overwhelming sometimes.
I think it also says a lot about who the two of you are. One, in the relationship you maintain with your fans. I see the way you interact. You never seem burdened by a conversation with a fan. It does seem like a genuinely warm connection. It also speaks to who you are in connection to those characters. I believe Paige O'Hara says in this book that Jodi doesn't just voice Ariel, Jodi is Ariel. Like, you're more than just the voice actors behind these characters. You very much protect the hearts and souls of these characters. I'd like to hear from each of you what your character represents. So starting with you, what does Ariel represent to you?
well, of course, she's changed my entire life. And it was not the plan that I was going when I was walking into this world of doing Broadway and theater and 8 shows a week. So to have a Broadway show, Smile, close so quickly, and for Howard Ashman to already have been working with the Disney company on The Little Mermaid, it was just a little consolation prize that he kindly invited a handful of us to audition for Ariel. Never to get the job, of course, but something to do on the way to the unemployment office really is what it was. And it was such a sweet gesture. So when I got the call a year later, that I got Ariel, I'm like, oh, that's amazing, but what's an Ariel? I mean, I have no recollection of doing this audition. To see how it just changed my life completely in a matter of a day. Going from theater to all of a sudden I'm doing this voiceover that we were supposed to just disappear. You weren't supposed to know who we were. And then that changed with the success of the film during the screenings and things. So my life has just been a huge surprise. And it's like icing on top of cake that it's just, I can't even fathom everything that I've experienced over these last 36 years. So Ariel, it means everything to me. Her tenacious spirit, her loving kindness, her inclusive, unconditional love for everything and everyone around her has made a huge impact in my life, and she's changed my world forever.
And Ashley, how about you? Ahsoka has an emotional pull with fans, unlike anything I can't compare it to anything else. It's a symbol of sort of hope for a lot of people. What does Ahsoka mean to you?
Hope is really the word. And similar to Ariel, I think how blessed are we that we get to play characters that are truly changing lives. And, in Ahsoka's case, I hear at least one story every single day, and when we go to an event, multiple stories about how Ahsoka's either changed someone's life or saved someone's life. I hear multiple stories all the time about, literally Ahsoka inspired someone to keep going. And when you hear stories like that, it changes you. I mean, similar to Jody, being the voice of a Star Wars character and originating a Star Wars character wasn't even on my radar because I thought George Lucas was done making Star Wars. So it was the dream I didn't even dream because I didn't know it was possible. So when it happened, my life completely changed. And, it definitely changed for the better. And Ahsoka, similar to Jody, Ahsoka, I feel very blessed to say that she's just me. I mean, I was cast to be myself. So her voice, her personality, her sarcasm, her humor, everything is just me. But then over time, something happened where then I changed my life to be more like Ahsoka, because in so many ways she represents hope. In many ways, I think she represents the light side of the Force. What gives Ahsoka her power, what truly makes her so powerful, is her kindness. You mentioned kindness with Ariel. Ahsoka is so fierce with her lightsaber, and I mean, she's just a skilled warrior. But what makes her so powerful is that she's kind and she helps people no matter what. And so Ahsoka has inspired me. I mean, my goal is to be a real life version of Ahsoka Tano, and for the fans to have that emotional connection. I treasure that. I hold it dear. And similar to you, we might only have 2 minutes with a fan.
Right.
But when you have that 2 minutes, I'm laser focused. I'm listening, and I want to hear what Ahsoka means to you because she means that much to me too.
I can't thank you enough. I'm so grateful to know both of you and so thankful that you spent this time with us today.
You're so sweet and you're so kind. And thanks for just letting us get to hang out together here at Ashley's house with you.
Of course.
And to chat about these fun books.
Well,
we
thank you.
appreciate it.
I'll take my cupcake and cookie to go.
Okay, sounds good. Thanks for dropping in.
All right, thank you.